Not too long ago, we set the example for the world on civil liberties and human rights. Today, we have this bipartisan piece of legislation, the Patriot Act, that criminalizes free speech, authorizes warrantless searches, allows for wiretaps without probable cause. People can now be locked up on suspicion alone, denied due process or even a hearing. As for foreign nationals, forget it. They can be deported for what they say or think, even if they're completely law-abiding. They can be kept from ever entering this country under the ideological exclusion rule, again, based on what they say or think. All this accomplished by a bill that our leaders rushed to pass just 6 weeks after those towers came down. Did you read the Patriot Act, Judge? Members of Congress certainly didn't. It was pushed through with so much haste, there was almost no deliberation, because few, if any, members of the House or Senate had bothered to read it. Most still haven't. A bill that mocks our Constitution and moves us ever closer to tyranny. We now round up suspects and throw them in detention camps, claiming they're not prisoners of war, so that we may torture them in violation of the Geneva Convention. We set up these camps in Cuba and other foreign locations. This is not something done by a government with moral integrity. It does not reflect a nation with a conscience. And let's talk about the torture. This isn't slapping around some suspect who knows of a ticking bomb. We now use torture as a matter of course. We use it against people just to see if they have information, any information. Torture is no longer the exception, but the rule. It's systemic. Waterboarding, sexual humiliation, extreme psychological and physical abuse. We all know the horrors of Abu Ghraib, and those orders came from the very top. George Bush knew and approved of these tactics, as did Rummy, Condi, Dick, Ashcroft, Tenet, even Colin Powell. They all knew and participated in creating the policy, as did many others, and yet not one high-ranking officer or member of this administration has been held accountable. Not one. We set up these secret prisons using techniques modeled on the dungeons of Egypt. We chain prisoners to ceilings. We subject them to simulated drownings or sexual abuse. This is not moral leadership. This is not the conduct of a country that regards the law or respects human rights. And the country I speak of is not Egypt or Saudi Arabia or even North Korea. It's the United States of America, my country, your country. Denny Crane said to me that I cannot know the experience of lying down at night and facing the idea of losing America. Since September 11th, 2001, I think most of us have laid down on many a night and imagined exactly that. But I wonder, what is it about America that we most fear losing? And I wonder, how much of that have we lost already? The town of Concord, what can it really do? Stage a protest, have a rally, a parade, call a press conference? Would that even make the news? But threaten to secede, that would get some attention. And if you look at all the facts here, you'll see Concord isn't really seeking to leave America at all. It's America that has left them. And of course, ultimately, Concord will not be allowed to secede. We all know that. But if you quash this at the summary judgment stage, you will in effect be ruling that their concerns are not even legitimate. And how can any true American conclude that? We stand here today asking you to defend a democracy that our Congress and our president refuse to defend. We're asking you to stand up for the Constitution, which every judge is duty-bound to protect. We ask you to stand up for an America that 60 years ago, our soldiers stormed a beach in Normandy to defend. This case is personal to you, and it's personal to me. It's personal to everyone in this courtroom. I love this country, Denny. Sometimes I just don't recognize it anymore.